Hey, and welcome back to J.P.'s World of Wrestling. I am your man, J.P. I apologize. I realize it's a little bit dark right now. I had to go with like a really quick setup, because it's just been one of those days. Anyway, today's subject is SummerSlam, 1991. That's right, 1991 still was kind of a transitional time for the WWF. Because they in 90, they tried to put the belt on somebody else besides Hogan. They did it with the Ultimate Warrior, but of course, we all remember that didn't really work out too well. I mean, I can kind of see how they would think that he's kind of a one-dimensional champion. I mean, I don't know, but nevertheless, by 1991, the belt was back on Hogan, but the WWE was still they were still trying to find like their next big star because Hulk Hogan, he was kind of winding things up with his career, and they were trying to find the next thing, and we're still a few months away from Ric Flair coming into the WWF. I think by this time there's kind of still rumblings that he might be there. I think Bobby Heenan's like walking around with the NWA World Title, saying, "Oh, he's the real world champion." Anyway, but SummerSlam 1991, I believe the main event was a handicap match. It was a handicap tag match. It was a Sergeant Slaughter, Colonel Mustafa, and General Adnan versus the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan. And, that was really kind of the basis for the event. And again, it was one of those events that I didn't watch live. I wanted to, but like I've said before on this channel numerous times, my dad at the time, he was not going to pay that much for a wrestling event. So it just wasn't going to happen. So, but whenever it came out on video, that's when my sister and I would rent it from the video store or the grocery store or wherever we could find it. We'd bring it home and watch it. And SummerSlam 91 was no exception. So, I mean, it was a pretty good event. I mean, if you compare it with almost anything from the Attitude Era, you got it made. And again, I'm getting everything from this anthology box set. Let's just pull this out here, because this is what the 91 SummerSlam is on. It's this volume 1. And let's just look at the card real quick. Because, I mean, I just watched it, but it's my wife is so busy. But yeah, so there was a really good match between Bret the Hitman Hart and Mr. Perfect for the Intercontinental Championship. And, that match really was like one of those big memorable matches from someone. I say memorable, I had to look at the card in order to remember it. But now that I think about it, it was a pretty great match from two really fantastic in-ring wrestlers. And so, we had Virgil versus the $1 Million Man. Pretty good story there, where Virgil had been DiBiase's bodyguard, but he was tired of being pushed around by DiBiase, so he finally turned on DiBiase. They wrestled each other at WrestleMania, but then they wrestled again at SummerSlam. This time it was going to be for the $1 Million Championship, in which Virgil won. He won the $1 Million title. I think DiBiase eventually won the title back from him. But, and then there was another really fun match. So there was a jailhouse match. It was the Big Boss Man versus the Mountie. Both guys claimed to be like law enforcement, where the Big Boss Man was an American police officer. The Mountie was a Canadian mounted police officer. So Mountie was the bad guy. He would say, "I am the Mountie, oh!" And he wore the bright red Mountie outfit, and he had the shock stick. Big Boss Man just had a regular nightstick and handcuffs or whatever, but Big Boss Man won that match, so the Mountie had to spend the night in jail. And that was kind of a fun bit where they took him away. He kept resisting arrest. Like, "Oh, no, you can't do that. Don't you know who I am? I am the Mountie, blah, blah, blah." So, anyway, they kept going back to, first they would show him like being hauled away in the paddy wagon. Then they'd have some more matches and more segments. Then they'd go back to him at the jailhouse being booked. Then they'd have some more matches. Then they'd go back to him. Finally showed him like actually in the jail cell. So that was a fun match. That was a fun little feud, and I enjoyed it. Yes, and then so the Nasty Boys also defended the titles against the Legion of Doom. Now the Legion of Doom had just come into the WWF. Before that, WWF had Demolition, and that was sort of, the WWF version of the Road Warriors. But now that the WWF actually had the Road Warriors, they didn't really need Demolition anymore. So by this time, Demolition was 3 guys: Axe, Smash, and Crush. They had turned them into heels, but they didn't last long as a 3-man team. So each, like, Axe was gone from the WWF. Crush became his own single babyface wrestler, and then Smash became Repo Man. So, and then he had some other gimmicks after that, but mostly it was Repo Man. But then it was time for the main event, the big handicap tag match: Hulk Hogan and the Warrior versus Sergeant Slaughter and the 2 Iraqis. But Hogan and the Warrior won. But I believe this was the event where the Ultimate Warrior backstage told Vince McMahon, you better pay me X amount of money or I'm not going to go out and wrestle. So Vince said, okay, I'll pay you. So I think Vince paid him before the Warrior went out there. So right after the match, I believe the Warrior, if the rumors are true, the Warrior was fired right after that. And the Warrior would not return to the WWF until the very next year, 1992, at WrestleMania 8, where he had a short run, a short second run in the WWF, but that didn't last long. Then he went to WCW, that didn't last long. And then he tried independent wrestling, and that didn't really last long either. So, nevertheless, that was SummerSlam 1991. It was a good event. And on the main event, they called it the match made in hell. But it was also when Macho Man Randy Savage married Miss Elizabeth. I mean, they were already married, but this was kind of the on-screen, gimmick marriage. But Macho Man had retired because he lost to the Ultimate Warrior in a career match at WrestleMania 7. So Macho Man married Elizabeth at SummerSlam 91. Then afterwards, they had the wedding reception where there was this gimmick where Macho Man was opening up this package and a cobra came out, in which, that was a gift from Jake the Snake Roberts, in which that ignited a feud between, originally it was going to be Jake the Snake Roberts and Sid Justice, but then it ended up being Jake the Snake Roberts and The Undertaker. So, there you have it. It was a pretty good event. I enjoyed it. I liked it. And tell me, what did you think of SummerSlam 91? Have you seen it? Have you not seen it? But if you're watching this channel, obviously you've probably seen it. So what did you think of it? What was your favorite match? What was your favorite moment? Leave them in the comments below. With that, that's going to do it for this video. If you're new, please feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you next time.